Trackmania Nations Forever is one of the world's most competitive racing games. It has a rich history of world records spanning over a decade, and several thousand speedrunners that compete to become the best on every single campaign track. On this YouTube channel, I've covered many of the great stories and achievements by other Trackmania players. But today, I want to tell you a story about one of my own proudest accomplishments. You see, before I became a content creator, I used to compete for world records myself. 1 year ago, I made a video about my journey towards a world record on an official track. The grind for that record had taken me months, and I felt very proud when I finally beat it. But only 3 days after I published the video about it, my record was completely destroyed. When it happened, I was reminded of something Roland once said, that your goal should be to achieve a world record, not keep it, as every world record will get beaten somewhere down the road. And he's right, but the feeling still sucked. To work so hard for something only to be outdone in a matter of days. And in that moment, I really wanted to achieve something more everlasting. And this is what started my second journey to a dream world record in Trackmania. This is the official track D13 race, and paradoxically, this story begins with me having the world record on it. One of my earliest videos from February of 2020 was about this track, where I managed to set a new best time of 1:03.95, beating the old world record from Ryxsar by 7/100ths of a second. D13 race is known by many casual players to be one of the hardest tracks to complete, and when speedrunning it, there's a lot of tricks and techniques used to save time. Let's take a look at this run and see how the track is played at the highest level. D13 race starts out with a combination of uphill turns that you have to climb to reach the first checkpoint. This section is best done by driving wide racing lines. At checkpoint 1, there's a big drop down into a not so smooth landing. This is best tackled by air braking, where you can tap brake mid-air to stop the car's rotation. If done perfectly, the car will tilt onto the road and get full contact with the booster. Immediately thereafter, there's a jump into a turn, where it's important to land a bit wide so you can build up more speed going into checkpoint 2. And after that, there's a quick transition to a booster before you arrive at one of the most difficult sections of the track, the horseshoe. In the middle of the track, you have this sharp 180-degree turn with no walls on either side that the players call the horseshoe. The horseshoe is practically designed to make you fail, as the boosters beforehand give you way too much speed for the corner. And to add to that, the edges of the dirt roads are extremely bumpy. Your best bet is to slam the brakes and then continue at full speed once you think you can clear the corner. But if you're just a little bit off the ideal line, you fall right off the edge. After getting past the horseshoe, the track isn't really getting easier, because you get to another difficult part, the chicane, where the developers again placed more boosters before a sharp turn. But here they can be taken advantage of. Instead of slowing down and driving the turn as the developers intended, the best strategy for speedruns is to go at full speed, aim for the dirt corner, and bounce right across. For this to work properly, you need the car's back wheel to clip the dirt ridge in the middle of the jump, so that the car lands flat on the other side. This corner bounce is one of the main breaking points for world record attempts, as it is so unlikely to get the exact correct bounce. Most attempts will just fly off the track, but when you finally land cleanly, the time save makes it more than worth it. With the chicane shortcut done, the track goes into a big valley area, where so long as you don't hit any cacti, you won't gain or lose significant amounts of time. At the other side of the valley, you get to the ending of D13. The end section starts out with a very sharp banked dirt turn, and this turn is simply awkward if you try to drive it normally. But luckily for speedrunners, there's a trick that makes it much smoother. By landing 90 degrees sideways and drifting into this corner, you can do a sharp power slide through the entire turn. Not only does it look cool, but it also saves a lot of time. After the bug slide, you reach the final checkpoint of the track. And if you've gotten this far, all that remains is to clutch the run. First taking a wide line in the downhill, and then jumping and landing towards the outside of the final turn to build up more speed towards the finish straight. And then you're at the finish line. D13 is a short but action-packed speedrun, and in order to compete for the world record on it, you have to execute a great horseshoe turn, a good chicane shortcut, and a clean ending bug slide. In the other sections, you can afford to lose a few hundredths here and there, as it mostly comes down to those difficult parts. The 1:03.95 run had taken me a long time to achieve, and I was very happy when I got it. But only a few days after I made a video about the record, Ryxsar took it right back, and he did everything that I just demonstrated 1/100th of a second faster. I knew there was still time to save on D13, but at the time I felt like I was fighting for a record out of my league. It seemed inevitable that if I reclaimed it, Ryxsar would probably beat it right back, so I didn't bother with it at the time. In March of 2021, 1 year later, Hefes started hunting D13 race, with a new trick he had discovered, the wallbang. In the bug slide turn before the ending, Hefes went at full speed instead of slowing down like others had done. He then intentionally slammed his car against the wall in the downhill, and used it to realign his car towards the jump. This line saves 0.2 of a second, but it is exceedingly risky to go for. Hefes used it because he had a slow start to the run, and with it he managed to clock in at 1:03.98, proving that there was even more potential in the map than we had previously thought. 1 month later, a new player showed up on D13 and used that line to set a new world record. That player was Crosshairs, who on the 27th of April achieved a 1:03.89. When comparing the records, I saw that Crosshairs had fallen far behind the start of my 1:03.95, and that inspired me to pick up this track again and start my grind towards the world record. In May of 2021, I began live streaming my attempts on Twitch, and in my first session, one thing I realized is that in the ending of D13, you could do not just one, but 2 wallbangs. You heard me, double wallbang. You could go for an inside line with the bug slide, and then hit your back wheel against the checkpoint wall to realign your car towards the downhill wallbang, which would save somewhere around 0.3 seconds. This was laughably risky to go for, and I only saw it as a Hail Mary strategy on runs where you had nothing to lose. After a little bit of practice on the map overall, I started doing speedrun attempts, and on my first day back, I got down to a 1:04.23, a solid start to the grind. The next day I returned, and after a full session, I had improved again, down to 1:04.03, almost matching my personal best, and only 0.14 away from the world record. On the third day, however, I got so close, with a 1:03.90. It seemed like a world record was right around the corner, but before I had a chance to try again, Crosshairs himself improved the record down to 1:03.82. And with this improvement, Crosshairs made a declaration of war. Crosshairs had straight up changed the file name of his world record replay to "fuck you Wirtual" and uploaded it to the leaderboards. And when I saw it, I immediately made up my mind that I was gonna make him eat those words. About 3 weeks later, in the start of June, I returned to the track. And after a few hours of getting comfortable, I was right back up to pace. Every single run felt like it could be the world record, and I knew I was getting closer and closer to my goal. On the 5th of June, after playing the same 1 minute long track for over 30 hours in total, I finally broke the world record, 1:03.74. I knew that I was far ahead of Crosshairs going into the last turns, and I decided to go for a safe approach, not doing any wallbangs at all. And instead of giving the replay a cheeky file name, I decided to just upload it as normal and let my time speak for itself. After all my effort, I was hoping that this record would stand for a while. But no. Just 5 days later, Crosshairs took it back with a crazy time, 1:03.52, beating my record by 0.22 of a second. And you know what the biggest difference was? The air brake tap in the start dropdown. In my personal best, I stopped the rotation a little early and skipped much of the booster, and Crosshairs, who got it perfectly, built up a big lead from that point on, all the way to the finish line. At first, I thought, okay, GG, there is no way that I'm beating that. I knew of course I could do a better start, but I'd still have to follow it up with an equally good horseshoe, chicane bounce, and bug slide. And I knew that it would take a while before all those stars align in a single run. But it wasn't over yet, because luck would be on my side. A few days after Crosshair's new record, the player Trinity created a tool-assisted speedrun on D13 Race. Tool-assisted speedruns are runs where players use programming to create a theoretically perfect speedrun. These runs are of course not uploaded to the leaderboards, and are only made as a science to see what's possible. One very interesting strategy that Trinity discovered was to do this. In the horseshoe turn, Trinity intentionally went on the ridge of the dirt, taking advantage of the bumpy edge that it has, and getting a series of bounces that put his car sideways. From there, he did a bug slide perfectly through the horseshoe, saving 1.5 seconds. The trick looked absolutely crazy, but if it was possible humanly, then it could surely optimize the records further. I really had no other option than to try it if I was going to get the record back, so that's what I did. After some experimentation, I successfully managed to do it a few times. It was incredibly difficult to get the right bounces needed to set you up for a bug slide, and I could only get it about once in every 30 attempts. But if I did it successfully, I would save almost 1 second, which in Trackmania is a massive time difference. I started trying it in real runs, and eventually I got a few seriously fast attempts. But the one problem was that after passing the horseshoe bug slide, I still had to do the chicane shortcut and the end bug slide to beat the world record, and the chance of nailing all 3 tricks in a run were slim. It would take me a full week of grinding runs and practicing each part, until finally, on the 19th of June, I got this run on the track. Let's go! Oh my god! Let's go! Let's go! Oh shit! This was it. Finally, I felt I'd set a world record that wasn't going to instantly get beaten by someone, because by all means it was a strong time. 2 months would pass with no new activity on the track, and it seemed like I could keep the record to myself. But that was a false sense of security, because in August of 2021, Crosshairs returned to the track, and after hunting the record for 20 hours, he successfully achieved a 1:03:01, 1/10 of a second faster than my time. Oh, and the file name? What's up noob, long time no see. Yeah, Crosshairs was back with an exceptional time. Just 4 months prior, the world record was barely a 1:03, and now we were on the brink of reaching 1:02. It felt like we were playing an endless game of limbo, where both of us were too stubborn to give up, and as a consequence, the record was now reaching ridiculous levels. Both of our 1:03 runs were really clean though, and at this point, the world record was no longer a guarantee if you just survived each trick. You had to start going for more. So, do you remember that Hail Mary wallbang I mentioned? If I could pull that off, together with the horseshoe bug slide and the chicane shortcut, it would give me the necessary time gain to break the barrier. Over the next days, I spent a ton of time practicing every section to get as consistent as I could and make my chances of succeeding the highest that it could be. But just looking at the numbers, it seemed really tough. If I got the horseshoe bug slide once every 30 attempts, and the chicane shortcut afterwards 1 out of 10 times, and the double wall bang 1 out of 5 times, you are looking at a 1 in 1500 chance, or about 0.06%. Over the next weeks, I tried playing it more on stream, but I was getting very distracted by trying to be entertaining. It's hard to find the balance between making content and being competitive, and I made the decision to play the track off stream so I could spend all my focus on going as fast as possible. My grind continued until the fateful day, the 9th of September, when I finally got this run. Oh my god, oh my god! Let's go! Holy shit! Let's go, it's done! 1:02:67. I could not believe it. I had completely crushed my goal of reaching 1:02 and smashed the world record time. This run had every part nailed down to near perfection. Not just surviving each part, but doing them cleanly. And when it mattered most, I clutched the double wallbang end combination to make the decisive difference. Driving a 1:02:67 on D13 is a dream come true for me, and it likely is the record that I'm most proud of in my Trackmania career. But this record, just like most world records, will get beaten eventually. No leaderboard in Trackmania is a finished chapter. They are all living, breathing stories, with plenty of blank pages that will be filled in the future. All I hope for is that my record stands for at least 4 days unbeaten, because that would be a new personal best for me in and of itself. Anyways, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, then please subscribe so you never miss when I upload new Trackmania content. We are getting closer and closer to 1 million subscribers, which will be an amazing milestone to hit. Also, a big thank you to all the patrons for supporting our work. If you want to become a patron, there's a link in the description below. That's it for now, guys. I will see you all in the next video, and until then, have a good one.